The Asian American Pacific Islander Nurses Association of Nevada presents Healthy Mondays with AAPINA of Nevada. Start the week healthy and right with interesting conversations on living a healthy lifestyle. And now, your Healthy Mondays host, Dr. Marife Aczon-Armstrong.
Aloha and mabuhay. Good evening. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Naimbagasardam, maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig sa Healthy Mondays with AAPINA of Nevada. I'm yours truly, Dr. Marife Aczon-Armstrong, founding president of the Asian American Pacific Islander Nurse Association of Nevada and professor in nursing at Roseman University of Health Sciences College of Nursing. Well, this is my first time here in the PHLV Radio studio, so Happy New Year's 2023. I know last segment we talked about New Year's resolution, but I noticed that this year, 2023, I haven't heard too many people sharing or declaring their New Year's resolution. But I noticed that the past years, one of the things that's on the top 5 or top 10 is smoking cessation. People want to quit smoking. So tonight I have a very special guest. And we really spend a lot of good times in Washington, D.C. So Dr. Elizabeth Fildes. She is currently a faculty at Chamberlain University College School of Nursing, and she's also the current member of the SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration's Minority Fellowship Program's National Advisory Committee member. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Fildes to Healthy Mondays.
Thank you for having me, Marife. Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes, manigong bagong taon.
Manigong
sa
bagong
inyong
taon.
lahat.
Absolutely.
So Dr. Fildes, would you share to our listeners out there your humble beginnings, starting from the Philippines?
Humble beginnings. Okay, grew up in San Jacinto, Masbate, and then went to Manila for school, finished at University of Santo Tomas School of Nursing, then moved to New York City, went to grad school at Columbia University at Teachers College, then got my doctorate from Loyola University in Chicago. The way we moved to Vegas is my husband became the chairman of the Department of Surgery at UNLV and UMC Trauma Center director. And that's how we came to Vegas.
Wow.
Since 1996, and we love it.
Wow. So anyway, Columbia University, you mentioned, it caught my attention because Healthy Mondays was actually created and established through Columbia University and John Hopkins and another university. Yes,
Good.
What they did was they did a survey nationwide through, I think Medicare funded it, and asked people if you're going to start a diet regimen or exercise regimen, and if you're going to start seeing your doctor regularly, which day of the week would you most likely do it? And everybody says Monday. That's why they call it Healthy Mondays.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
But thank you so much for being our guest tonight. And I know that you're going to give us a lot of information about smoking cessation. And maybe you can give us some statistics. Why is it important for our listeners out there and our kababayans to quit smoking?
Well, the research is showing that 480,000 people die every year of tobacco-related diseases. So the best way to deal with the medical consequences of nicotine addiction is to quit tobacco use, right? We don't want to become one of those statistics. And the other important thing is we want to quit smoking so that we could prevent secondhand smoke exposure for our family, especially the young children. When you think about the lungs of babies and young kids, they're so small. And a lot of times they don't have a choice. They have to be in a home where smoking takes place. So let's give them the most wonderful opportunity to be healthy, and let's quit tobacco use.
And in your knowledge, I think also quitting smoking also preventing them to start smoking, and that's kind of hard. That's an endeavor in itself.
Absolutely, becoming role models for the young kids, right? I have lots of patients who say, I need to set a very good example to the children. And there is some research to show too that they call it third-hand smoke, where tobacco users' clothing has some of the nicotine and other things that come with cigarette smoke on their clothing, and so when they hold young kids, then they're exposed to that. So very important, though. You talked about weight management and all that stuff. Our philosophy when I ran the Tobacco Users Helpline was to always create a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance in one's life. When one has that going for them, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance, the research is showing it's much easier for people to address problematic habits, or in this case, tobacco use. The people who continue to smoke these days are heavily dependent on nicotine, okay? Because, campaigns everywhere, people have told us it's bad for you and all that stuff. So those who can quit spontaneously, all cold turkey, have already done that. So the people who continue to smoke these days are heavily addicted to
So they have the
nicotine.
tendency. They
Right.
already have this tendency for addiction.
Heavily dependent
yes.
on nicotine. And so, saying that, I want to assure people not to be discouraged. Okay, so there's so much more research done now on how to help heavily dependent patients. So don't be discouraged. The most important thing is to have that desire. Ayaw mo na, habo na ako. Habo na ako. Ayaw, aabo na ako.
Or I'm
I
done.
want to stop, right?
Yeah.
To make that decision and then to seek help, right? You can't, two things. If you smoke within 10 minutes of waking up and you smoke more than 10 cigarettes a day, chances are, and you've tried quitting before and you were miserable, chances are you're heavily addicted to nicotine. The good news, like I said, is there's help. There is help, and there is help where you possibly don't even have to leave the comforts of your home. 1-800-QUIT-NOW. If you can have that on the screen, 1-800-QUIT, QUIT, NOW, NOW, is nationwide, and it's accessible over the phone. They have apps available that will help you, and then they're all over the web. So there are a lot of resources. In my experience, when I was running the Tobacco Users Helpline, people are generally hesitant to come forward and make an attempt is because, number one, they're afraid of withdrawal symptoms, and number two, they're afraid to fail again. So just wanted to let you know, for those who are afraid of withdrawal symptoms, so much research has been done now in order to help you manage your withdrawal symptoms the right way. Okay? So take courage, make a decision, abo na ako, tapos na ako, and then call for help, right? 1-800-QUIT-NOW is there. There is a lot of research on medication-assisted treatment, right? So we have nicotine patches, we have nicotine gum, we have nicotine lozenges, we have we have prescription medications. I want to admit that I'm partial to nicotine replacement therapy because alam nyo na po kung ano ang epekto ng nicotine sa inyong katawan. So you don't have to introduce other, other kinds of medications into your system. So
Are you
start
referring
with
to patches? Are you referring to patches, Dr.
Yeah,
Fildes?
patches.
Yeah.
There's gum. There's lozenges. There's nasal spray. So I have patients, honestly, have quit for years. They would still continue to use nasal spray.
Wow.
Right? That's how powerful it's not a bad habit, okay? It's an addiction, right? We don't want, there's a lot of, unfortunately, I work in substance use disorder. It's unfortunate the public has this general stigma against addictions. Pero we need to consider this as a chronic disease. Pareho rin ng diabetes, pareho rin ng congestive heart failure, or high blood pressure. We need to treat it like that. Addiction is like that. It's a chronic brain disease. No? Wag ikahihiya. Come forward and seek for help. Just like you have diabetes, just like you seek help for your high blood pressure, come forward, right? Mm-hmm. Come forward. We in the healthcare industry, we healthcare professionals are working really hard to destigmatize substance use disorder addictions in our world, so that people come forward for help. Wag ikahihiya, humingi ng tulong. Okay, so we said people are afraid to come forward and ask for help because of their previous experiences with withdrawal symptoms. I had a patient who said to me, para pong monster was coming out of my body, right? That's how withdrawal
so they're feeling like they wanted to give up because if they're going to have a withdrawal, then they would more likely to smoke again, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Tapos, I have patients who said to me, my family gave me back my cigarettes kasi they couldn't stand me anymore.
Being miserable, right?
Right, yes, because mainit ang ulo mo, you're unusually angry all the time, you're all that stuff. And it's part of withdrawal symptoms. Now, they can be managed, right? That's why when we quit smoking, we want to, if we need medications, right, we'll use the medications, and then behavioral health strategies, right? We need to learn about how to manage our withdrawal symptoms para we don't get overwhelmed, and then seek the help of professionals who can help you. And 1-800-QUIT now is as simple as a phone call. It's like having a coach, right? Having a coach to help you quit tobacco use. Tapos, the research is showing, of course, that it takes an average of about 8 serious tries before a person is finally out of that spiral, right?
Wow,
so
8.
So very important, not ever to get discouraged, right?
Yes.
You learn something every time you relapse, all right? Meron kang natutuhan na where am I most likely to be triggered to look for tobacco use again?
Yeah. So,
right?
Dr. Fildes, I have a question on behalf of the women out there.
Okay.
That I know. So they really like to quit smoking, but then they notice that after they quit smoking, they gained a lot of weight. So how would you address that?
So very important for wonderful women who like the appearance of being thin. That's a society craziness, right?
Yes.
That's why, by the way, Virginia Slims came into play, right?
Oh,
the
okay.
tobacco
Makes sense.
industry found out that it's delicious for women to continue to look slim, right? You've come a long way, baby. Virginia Slims, right?
Oh, now I get it for the advertisement. That's a good one.
Right. Absolutely. That's why very important to seek help, right? Very important to seek help because you're right. Your basal metabolic rate will decrease because you quit tobacco use, and so that's very important that will come, and so managing your cravings with something healthy instead of going back to smoking or eating junk is a powerful strategy, right?
So once again, back to basics.
Right.
Mga kababayan, back to basics. Eat a healthy, balanced diet.
Yes, absolutely.
And exercise. Right?
Absolutely balance, right? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance, right? All these muscles we want to exercise. Like Marife said, exercise, right? Exercise is a physical wellness intervention, right? How about emotional strategies, right? Reaching out to friends, engaging your support system. By the way, it's very important for family members to also be educated on how to help people. And so all these resources are available widely on the web, Centers for Disease Control website, and you just Google how to quit smoking. They're all over the place. And
instead
then
of giving them back
1-800
the
quit
cigarette,
now.
right? Because you mentioned earlier there are some people whose family actually gave them back the cigarettes
Sure.
because they can't
Don't
stand.
give them back their cigarettes.
So I think it's the same with chronic diseases like diabetes and heart failure and heart disease, that we need to include the family
Absolutely.
in the planning
Absolutely.
in the smoking cessation.
Right.
But I want to bring us back to secondhand, and you mentioned about third-hand smoking. So maybe for our listeners out there who are not aware, what does secondhand smoking and third-hand smoking means?
So ito, when you're in a room, you're in a room where people are smoking, kahit na
Hindi ka
you're in the
nagsisigarilyo.
non-smoking section is a joke, right? It's like, well, you're over there in the area.
But we can still
I know.
get the smoke.
We don't have sophisticated enough ventilation system that will isolate you from exposure to secondhand smoke, right? Secondhand smoke is what comes from the cigarette when people are smoking. So I have to tell you a funny story. In tobacco control, we said, secondhand smoke exposure is like, or having a smoke-free section in a room or in a particular place is like having a no peeing section in a swimming pool.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right? That's a joke, right? It's a joke, right?
But the logic itself makes sense because you can't really control the flow of the smoke, because the smoke
can't.
itself has the nicotine in it and all the residuals that comes.
Right, you
so
can't.
meaning that if someone is smoking and you're like in a close proximity, it's almost like you're also smoking along with them because you are inhaling.
You're exposed, right?
You're exposed to what they are
so
smoking.
very important. And I have, there are people who are probably listening to us right now who might be triggered with anger. No? Why are we asking them to quit smoking and all that stuff? But anyway, so I just want to share with you, kung hindi pa kayo handa, if you're not ready, take it outside, right? Take it outside. The research is showing if we make it so it's less automatic. Kasi sometimes nasindihan na natin, hindi natin alam. We're not even aware of it, right? We're not even aware of it. The cigarette is controlling us. Wala na sa awareness natin. So, one of the strategies that we share with people is to put the cigarettes outside. At saka, you be in control by saying, okay, I'm going to smoke now, so I'm going to go over outside so the kids are not exposed. No? We have some very careful patients there who even they have clothes na isusuot nila para to go outside in order to smoke. Tapos tatanggalin na yung clothes
and then they can just have
before
a
they get
change of
inside.
clothes.
So the
I
kids,
see.
if there are babies that they want to hold as much as possible, that's very challenging to isolate. No, kasi it's systemic. You're exposed to your hair probably
hair
even
too,
have
right.
it. So very important. But take it outside. The research is showing if we make it challenging for people to go and smoke, then it breaks that habit, the the connections, right? Breaks that connection. So now if you take it outside, and we have a strategy for women who are pregnant. I worked with Dr. Wilson one time, who's the guru for smoking cessation among pregnant women. He said they create a tar jar, no? Yung mga cigarette butts ay nilagay sa bote, tapos lagyan ng tubig, ipunin lahat. And when they feel or they have an urge to smoke, they just smell the thing, and it just turns them off.
Oh, when they're pregnant because of the
turns
smell.
them off.
Because
Turns them off. And
more
by the way,
sensitive.
for women who are pregnant, because of the hormonal changes in our body, it's easier for pregnant women to give up tobacco use. Unfortunately, after delivery, if we don't teach them strategies to manage stress, etc., then they go back to it. So very important for those who are not ready to quit, to please take it outside so that we don't expose other people to secondhand smoke. No?
And I have a funny story to share. I remember when my first time that I was a fellow for the SAMHSA, that we were required to go for twice a year to nationwide where we get trained. It's called the Summer Institute and Winter Institute. And we were in Florida in Fontainebleau.
Nice.
So we were about to sleep. My room and I were about to sleep, and the fire alarm went off. And so they told us to get out of our rooms, and we were trying to get ready, grab things, and then come to find out someone was smoking by the stairways.
Oh.
That's why it triggered the fire alarm. So we were like, it was.
I hope it was not one of our scholars.
I didn't know, but I hope so not. But that would be controversial because it's substance abuse. But that was my story with that
That's
someone
funny.
was smoking
Right.
the stairways, and it triggered everybody to get out of their hotel room for the fire alarm.
Right.
And I guess my question to you is, I know some people tells me smoking and drinking alcohol goes hand in hand. So if someone is a smoker, most likely they're a drinker, or if they're a drinker, most likely they're a smoker. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, it comes hand in hand. That's why when we help people quit tobacco use, that assessment of alcohol dependence is also done. No?
Yeah.
It's also done. So I think when people decide to quit tobacco use, all of these habits come into people's awareness. No? Do I drink and smoke? What about if I just drink? Is it possible to do that? What about if I smoke outside and I don't have to bring my drink? So this connections all come to the surface and our awareness for us to seek help, right? Because alcohol, it can also be a source of dependence, diba? Also a source of dependence. So use this opportunity to, it's the Healthy Mondays. It's 2023
The year
to start, bringing this all up and be honest about these things. One of the questions we ask people to assess their dependence is that, do they binge drink, or have they noticed na mas marami na ang kailangan nilang inumin para to get the effect? Or the other question to ask yourself is, have I tried stopping and I could not? Right? Then that shows na meron tayong dependency. But don't stop. Don't remain in isolation, but seek help. Right? Seek help.
The good news is we have more resources now
absolutely
than ever before compared to a long time ago.
Oh,
so
yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of initiative now to help people. Yes.
Right. Absolutely. So many resources now. At saka, importante not to give up. Right? If you tried before, keep trying. Ask for help. Learn from the things that triggered your relapse, and don't ever give up until you attain your goal.
Yeah, and
right?
although there's a lot of resources out in the community, ultimately the bottom line is you yourself is the one who's going to decide that you want to quit.
Right.
Not me, not Dr. Fildes, not your doctor, not your family, but you. So it's that self-awareness that if you really wanted to quit, and a lot of times as when I was a diabetes nurse educator, usually the patients will conform to their diet regimen and exercise regimen because they want to still see their grandchildren. They want to still be playing with their grandchildren because they know that the complications from a condition will not just come up. It will be gradually. And so they want to be still alive, So the same thing with smoking cessation. It's usually, it has to be you yourself who's the smoker to decide that I wanted to quit. You make the decision, but now we have the resources to help you to quit.
Absolutely.
And what Dr. Fildes is saying is don't give up. Keep trying and keep trying, because if you don't try, you're not going to be able to quit. So
absolutely.
That's the first step.
Right. Tapos, for those who are thinking, no, because all of us are aware of the bad effects of tobacco use. Tapos, but we still want it. Parang, we're thinking, oh, do I quit or not, or etc. So maybe one possibility is to write down ano kaya ang advantages ng continuing to smoking. Write that down on one side of the paper. Tapos the other side, write it down. What's the advantages
pros
of
and
quitting,
cons,
right? Pros and cons. Tapos tingnan, examine, look at it, right on your face. Be aware, ano kaya, what are, given this information, what should I do? No? Wag matakot. There is help. And not to feel discouraged by previous attempts.
I have a story. When I was still a nursing student, I remember I was assigned to someone who already have an end-stage lung cancer. And you know that if you're smoking, it's going to affect your lungs, and eventually your lungs would be all cooked up from that nicotine and all the chemicals. And then this patient that I had was a male. I think he was Filipino. It was at one of the facilities in Hawaii when I was still training as a nursing student. And then it was an ethical dilemma as a nursing student, because on the chart it says that the patient can go and take a smoke break down in the courtyard. It was so hard for me to just imagine, after reading the chart, that this patient has end-stage lung cancer, and the doctor has allowed him to go down and smoke. So you were talking about mind, body, and spirit, and I guess they realized there's nothing else that they can do for him, because it's already an end-stage lung cancer. The cancer had already spread to the rest of his organs, and so that's what he wants. So as nurses, and especially our nursing students out there, you always respect the wishes of your patients, even though it's that situation. It's an ethical dilemma. So I want our listeners to know that you don't want to be at that situation, that no one is no longer telling you not to smoke because it's too late, because your lungs is already cooked up and there's nothing else that they could do for you. So you don't want that for yourself. So
Tapos, so in relationship to what Marife was just saying, so importante, if you decide you don't want to quit tobacco use this year, very important to make sure that you have testing, right? Tinitingnan all your diagnostic tests would be indicators for early stages of lung disease or heart disease, etc., etc. Because a lot of times the results of those tests could trigger people to say, I don't want this to progress. So then they will seek help to quit tobacco use, right?
The logical thinking. And then there was one study that I was looking at when I was still in school, where I looked at the prevalence of current smoker and people who are no longer smoking or quit smoking. I think it was one of my dissertation one. And then we noticed that among the Japanese population in Hawaii, there were more individuals who were previous smokers. And then I looked into it, and then we have an analysis and assumption that those Japanese smokers found out that there's high prevalence of lung cancer among the Japanese population. And so that triggers them to quit smoking. So like, okay, wow, a lot of Japanese are getting lung cancer and I'm smoking, so I better quit. Good. So there's one thinking, right, that people can do. So
very good
but
idea.
Then again, then again, the bottom line is you are the one to decide.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. And the good news is you don't have to wait a long time in order to garner the benefits right away. 24 hours, oxygenation, better na kaagad.
Can breathe
right?
better.
Your oxygenation is out of, carbon monoxide is out of your system. Oxygenation immediately improves, right?
So and your coloring and your skin
right,
will look
right.
better.
And always think about the positive thing for the women who want to be gorgeous and skinny and all that stuff, right? Skin is the largest organ in your body, and if you're loaded with carbon monoxide, oxygen can't get into your system, and your skin needs oxygen to be beautiful and flourish. So think about that as a motivator, right? Think about that as a motivator. So don't have to wait. Even the sense of smell. I had a patient one time, he was forced to quit tobacco use because he was hospitalized, right? So in 3 days, 4 days, he said a family member brought Big Mac to the other patient, and he says, I never thought Big Mac smelled so good.
Oh, because
Just,
it's always smelling.
72 hours only of not being able to smoke. Sense of smell came back. I thought, wow, it's really amazing. So all this we're talking about addressing physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance, right? And a patient who said to me, Doc, I realized now, no, sabi niya, my cigarette is right here on my front pocket, and my family members' pictures is in my back pocket. So talk about, right, emotional support. Kailangan seek emotional support because tobacco use has a lot of times been our companion through thick and thin. For some
need to
people,
have a motivation to
right,
quit. Yes.
right. Their cigarette has become their companion, so they're not isolated when they're alone. No?
Yes.
So think about it, right? So then when you take that out, who is going to be your unconditionally supportive person who will be there?
Dr.
right?
Fildes, I know we sort of promised that we're going to dance.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
but I don't. Well, it's really nice talking stories with you.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for
Thank
being our
you.
guest tonight and helping our listeners out there, our kababayan, to try to think about quit smoking. But if you're not ready yet, that's okay. Look into the resources and look at the pros and cons. Like, that's a good idea, write down what are the disadvantages of you smoking, what are the advantages. Of course, you have a lot of stress and anxiety, and that's how you cope. So it's for you decide for yourself. So time flies when we're having fun. That's
I know,
my cue.
that was just last
So your
minute
last wish
for-
of words of wisdom, Dr. Fildes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
For those who are not ready to quit, please take it outside, right? Take it outside to prevent exposing your family members and your loved ones to secondhand smoke. Tsaka, make sure you have a checkup, right?
Yes.
Yung
Routine
all the
checkup.
diagnostic tests so that you know what's going on inside your body.
So not only your primary doctor, but also remember oral, because
Yes.
some smokers have oral cancer.
Right.
And those who are using tobacco, the cigarettes and then the tobacco, they had, because they put in the tobacco
And
in the mouth.
wrinkles, right?
Yes,
For those who are physically conscious, and exercise tolerance, right? Things like that. To start to be aware of what tobacco use is doing to your body, and then kind of self-assess. Ano na ba? What am I feeling that is related to my smoking? Right?
And you
So-
have resources.
Right.
Reach out. You have
Wag
resources out in the community. But I want to thank you, Dr.
No,
Fildes, for
thank you
being with
so
me.
much for having
Let's
me.
dance.
I know.
And thank you,
Wonderful.
PHLV Radio, for
Thank you.
providing us this platform. Flora and Johan for giving us this opportunity to share things, information to our listeners out there to keep themselves healthy. So remember, our kababayan and listeners out there, remember, every Monday is a healthy Monday. Aloha and mabuhay!
The Asian American Pacific Islander Nurses Association of Nevada has just brought you Healthy Mondays with AAPINA of Nevada.